It's a beautiful day in Cleveland. Welcome to Sharing a Bowl with, presented by Superior Pho. I am your host, Chris Wynn, and today we'll be sharing a bowl with Jimmy Longo, known by his friends as Jimmy. Jimmy, welcome to the show.
Chris, thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. So, we're very excited to have you on the show today. Jimmy is the photographer for the Cavs. Your title is digital content producer?
Yep.
Awesome. And how did you end up in this role? How did you even get into photography? Tell us your story.
Yeah, it's long-winded, right? So my degree, I always tell people, I tell young folks trying to get into the industry that my degree is in history. So I went to Ohio State, proud alum. I got, one of those classic cases of getting half to 3/4 of the way through school, and then I was going to go to law school, right? My grandfather's a lawyer. It was like this ambition of mine, but the dream kind of changed, and it was one of those things where, I've always loved sports. Sports journalism was like this natural thing to throw myself into.
I bet your parents were thrilled when you told them, hey, I'm dropping out of pre-law to do this.
Yeah, they didn't care, right? Like I was going to graduate. I graduated a semester early. Like I graduated debt free. So it made sense financially, right?
Nice.
Like I didn't have to do extra time. But no, so I did like unpaid journalism internships just to kind of throw myself and get resume experience and hopefully find a job, right?
Okay.
And then I bought like a small camera that I used to take photos at these like Ohio State sporting events. I was doing all of this unpaid, working.
What kind of camera was it?
The first one was like a Canon PowerShot. I think you could get it on Best Buy for $200.
Oh my gosh, okay.
And aside to that is I used to sneak it into Blue Jackets games, and I used to like record video, because I thought the whole thing was cool, and you could bring a camera. I remember reading the policy if it didn't have a detachable lens. But no, then I upgraded my first camera I bought with like money and tax returns I had from my like student worker job. It was a Canon 7D Mark I.
Oh, shoot, okay.
Just beat to heck, used on eBay. It was broken when I got it. I had to pay extra money to get it fixed. But with that camera, I ended up liking taking the photos for the stories more than I liked actually writing the stories themselves. So I'm like, okay, let's see where this goes. So at the time, this is 2016-ish, social media was really gaining in popularity. Social jobs within the sports industry were kind of gaining in popularity. So the
Cavs won the finals.
Yes, the Cavs won the finals, right? Literally, as this burgeoning interest of mine and my professional journey was like heading, in a different direction from what I thought it was. But I got an unpaid internship the fall of my last semester of college with the Blue Jackets.
And for those that don't know, the Blue Jackets are
the NHL team in Columbus, super close to my off-campus house. It was a quick drive downtown, but it was doing social media for them. I got to take photos of practices. I got to learn the ins and outs of like being in sports, being in social. Like, got to grow my photography skills. So then I graduated that fall or winter, I guess, of 2017. I actually got a job in Arkansas, of all places, with the University of Arkansas and Learfield College at the time, just kind of producing, photo and video. And at the time, branded content was becoming a thing,
Wait, so you took the job?
Yeah, I took the job. I took the job. So I left Ohio, where I had lived and born and raised and had lived my entire life.
I'm going to pause you there. I think we all have our own individual preconceptions of Arkansas, so indulge me. What was that like?
So when we moved there, I moved there by myself. At the time, my fiance, now wife, and mother of my child, she didn't come with me, but, she moved me out there. I'd never been there prior to literally pulling up in a U-Haul and my Civic or Accord at the time, I guess, towed to the back. But Northwest Arkansas is the most best kept secret in the United States, I think, as far as where it's someplace that's affordable, beautiful, and like, man, Fayetteville is just like this beautiful college town in the Ozarks. Like,
Really?
yes, there's great coffee, there's great food, great culture. Like, they don't have a professional sports team. There's like a AA minor league baseball team, but like everybody there loves the Razorbacks. They love college sports.
But it's not like Toledo, Ohio?
No. I mean, a lot of Arkansas could be considered like Toledo, Ohio. Like, let me make that clear. But no, Arkansas was great. Like, it was this great place where I got to grow my skills. You know, it's my first job in the industry, and I had a really, really good, you know, the person I reported to there was like super instrumental in helping me develop as like a professional. So I was there from January of 2018 to like late August of 2019. And then I interviewed and got this job where I'm currently at with the Cavs. You know, I had been taking photo and shooting a lot of video at the same time, but like when I came back here and got this job with the Cavs, originally it was social media coordinator. It was to help run social channels. They needed a lot of just like help in different areas. Like it was immediately post LeBron, so there was like this, how do we tell this rebuilding team story, and like what does...
I mean, but there's still that buzz, right? There's still that energy.
Yeah, it's an NBA
residual.
team.
Right.
Everybody loves the Cavs.
And so that was a big jump going
Right.
from sort of like, I don't know, is it minor leagues out there? Or?
It's like Division I college. Like
Division
it's
I?
like
Okay,
SEC, but like, you know, it's moving back to Ohio, but a professional sports
And then you
town.
just jump right into the major leagues.
Yeah. It was interesting because, you know, I grew up liking basketball, but like you know, I played football, I played baseball, so like the NBA wasn't even really on my radar. But you know, my wife and I looked at it as like, oh, okay, we can get back to Ohio. The Cavs have this like you know, this championship behind them. Let's just do it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And so it started off as social. I was shooting a lot of photo, and eventually I think long term that's what I wanted it to turn into. But then like, I don't know, 3 months into my first season, they were like, hey, we got a lot of social help. Why don't you just do this? Like, it's obvious like this is what you want to do. We'll change your title. You know, we'll let you grow, and then we'll see where this goes. And it was low pressure because I just got to develop, like, and shoot even more. The Cavs were still very much in a rebuilding stage, so
Right.
It wasn't like I was thrown into the middle of a playoff race or like these like super important games record wise
Right.
speaking. Like, you know, it was Darius Garland's rookie year, so you know we just had a coaching change in the middle of the season. So I mean, it was a lot of growing basketball, I'd say.
Right. So you came in sort of at the perfect time where there wasn't a whole lot of pressure.
Yeah.
But it was a good introduction to the major leagues where things matter, but it's not a time period where they really, really matter.
Right. The Cavs were still trying to figure out this post-LeBron identity, which I think in the time that, you know, that has happened, we definitely have figured out on.
So now with this new gig, 2019 Cavs, big move for you from Arkansas back to Cleveland, back home.
Yeah.
How was that experience transformative for your work? You know.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, I always say, like, I think in my industry peers would say the same thing. Like, I think there's like like, I think some of the best creatives in my industry work in college athletics. Like, I don't think there's like a distinction on talent level between pros or college. But it is like, there's heightened stakes when, you know, college kids are still considered amateurs, right? Like, they're still students. Pro sports, you deal with schedules of athletes, like practices always at specific times. Pro players have the right and the stature to like demand certain things or to like not necessarily trust like random bros off the street that are just brought in. So like it took a little bit to you know, kind of earn that trust, but you know, like I think one thing I love about basketball and just the way it's kind of evolved, like my workflow and like the way I create and like photography in a sense. Is just like there's something different every night, like the way that a body like moves through the air to dunk a basketball, or like the angle that a player takes, or like the facial expression. Like I love the emotion of basketball. And
because you have to anticipate their movement.
Right. Like photography is like so, like sports photography in a sense is you have to have anticipation, right? Like you have to be focused on the right thing at the right time, or like even now, like being with since my first season, since we made a coaching change, JB Bickerstaff has been here since that point, and I don't know. I know the names of our sets. I don't know, like if you said, hey, draw up this action, like I wouldn't know what you call it, but I know like at certain points, like okay, here we have a certain amount of out of bounds plays. Here's where the ball might go. Here's what I know like somebody might do, so I'm able to anticipate, make sure I'm in the right position, because like sports is so fleeting, right? Like you can very easily miss a play, miss a photo if you're just like not in the right position.
So then, are you near the coaches when you're on the ground floor? Are you near the coaches hearing the plays and trying to anticipate?
No, I mean you can't hear anything, and a lot of times like I feel like all coaches give their point guards or give their star players like the ability to just run what they want to run, or like certain possessions it might just be, hey, like they have a parameter, they have like an identity as like an offense, or and it might just be like, okay, go play. But I mean, sports photography in general, it's like a miniature sport in itself, right? Like it's like they say if you hit over 300 in baseball nowadays, like you're a Hall of Fame lock. Like I'd say if I get 7 of 10 photos, like I'll miss every 3 of 10 maybe.
Wow.
Like I guess I think I'm better than that, but like like you will miss photos. Like
so I little known fact, I used to shoot some wedding photography.
Yeah.
And we would shoot thousands of photos. I mean, like thousands.
Yeah.
And maybe out of those thousands, we'd choose like 100.
Right.
Max.
Yeah.
And so putting that into perspective, that's like a 10% batting average, whereas you're doing like 70% of your work on a good day.
Yeah, like so
that's incredible.
There's some 10% to that too, right? Like I might shoot like 2,000 images a night if we win.
Yeah.
I'll cut that down like at a first glance to maybe 800 to edit off of. Just
Wow.
Like because you're shooting I don't know, like the cameras we use shoot like 30 frames a second. They're super high power. They shoot a ton of photos. So like you don't need that many.
What are they, Canon? Or?
So we use Sony's. So like
Sony.
I used 2 Sony A1s.
Okay.
It's they're really good cameras. They do the job. Like they help me be a better photographer. But like I'll go from like 2,000 at the start or at the end of the game to like 800 maybe if we won and there's a lot that had gone on that night, to maybe by the end of the edit I have 150.
Oh wow. Okay.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like there is a lot that just gets not lost on hard drives, but kind of stowed away on hard drives, or just like doesn't, it's not what we need. So
Yeah.
it just gets cut just solely for you can't keep everything.
Right.
But yeah, there is, like as far as like being able to physically do my job, I feel like I'm pretty good as far as like not missing a ton of shots, ton of dunks or plays or what have you.
Yeah, dude, I can't imagine, because like I'm picturing you sitting there, standing there, and chasing the players around the court, trying to get these shots, and there are certain games that are just incredible. Recently, right, Donovan Mitchell scored 71 points in a game, and you were there. Tell me, what was that energy like? What were you doing? Were you like flying all over the court? What?
Well, that's
like?
The thing, though, right? Like floor spots, you're stationary, so you don't like you can myself and my coworkers, like our video shooters, like we would rotate spots, right? So like some of the night I was in the spot that's next to our bench. The majority of the game I was in the seat that's like next to our NBA photographer. It's like right to the right of the basket if you're facing like the court. And I mean that game was just insane. Like I think we were down 18 points, I think, at one point, and then just Donovan kind of just like willed us to victory. Like we had a bunch of people out. I remember, I think Darius Garland and Evan Mobley were at that game, so it was just like one of those dog like willed us to victory. I just there's to get us, we had to go to overtime to win, right? So like there's this play, we're down one or we're down two. So Donovan goes to the line. We're down 3. He makes the first. Everybody knows he has to intentionally miss the second shot to try and get the rebound, to get it up like towards the basket. Hopefully it goes in. He does it. Like
the stars aligned.
Yeah, he misses a shot. He probably commits a lane violation and leaves early, but he gets the rebound and he gets the ball. Like I didn't get that photo just because of the nature of it. Like I just was covered. But it was just insane. And then overtime, like, you just see shot after shot go in. And I feel like overtime in the NBA is so interesting because if, you have either like 1 or 2 straight possessions where like either you score or the opposing team scores and you get a couple stops, it's like kind of over. Like if you get up 4 points or 5 or 6 in overtime, like it's hard. You feel the pressure. And it felt like that overtime, Don just kind of, like he took that pressure off of us immediately. So then like that 5 minutes was just like watching this like historic performance, and right?
This whole time you, as a professional, you have to maintain composure. You're not celebrating.
Yeah. I mean, my insides are like
going crazy,
fighting each other, right? Like it's insane. And I'm thinking about, okay, how do I capture this moment, right? Like the last time somebody had scored 70 points was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years prior to that. I think Devin Booker was the last one. And then, coincidentally after that, Damian Lillard scored 71, just like Donovan did. But yeah, I was thinking like, okay, how do I frame Don scoring 70 and 71? Like, how do I, these images, like we need to make sure that they are like, last longer than my time here, right? Like, right. It's a part of our franchise's history. So, like, I'm thinking, okay, how do I – because the last, 70 and 71 from that night were 2 free throws. And so, like, I shot both of them with a – technically speaking, it's like a wide-angle lens. Like, you can see everything. You can see everybody in the crowd watching. Like, you can see the ball going up through the hoop and then, like, the players, watching Don shoot at the free throw line. So, it was, like, this cool, like summarizing moment of like everything that had happened the last, 3 hours.
I'm looking at some of these photos right now, and they're incredible. I mean, I think some of these I've actually seen in the media, floating around from that game.
Yeah, I'm looking at that one. You can see all of Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse just kind of watching like what's happening. People are on their feet. Looks like there's 31 seconds left. Like, just kind of icing the game at this point. It's like crazy to think about what was happening in that moment. Like,
so then what happened after the game?
Yeah, I mean, after the game, it was kind of mayhem, right? Like, I feel like in the NBA, there's like this, like not like an unwritten rule, but like I feel like if you have just this insane game or like a momentous shot or like a end game situation, like there's just like water thrown everywhere. So like there's this this photo of Donovan just getting doused with water from all angles.
And you get close enough to get wet, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm like, at that point, I'm worried, okay, like, these cameras are weather sealed. I'm pretty sure. Oh, no. Are they? And then...
Just get the shot. Get the shot.
Yeah. There's, like, this team photo we took at center court with all the guys that were just so happy for him in the moment.
Do you follow these guys into the locker room?
Yeah, wins we do. There's, like, one of JB's culture points is like there's like this it started a couple years ago when we were like this young, hungry, scrapping for like the playoffs team. It's called the Junkyard Dog Chain. So after every game, like there's like one player that has made like the most impact on winning, whether it be like playing tough defense, taking an assignment, like holding like a star player on the other team to like a bad shooting night. Like it's just like Junkyard Dog, like you fought and scrapped for this one. And obviously on nights like that night, like Don was going to get the chain, obviously. So it's part of my post-game routine. It's just like following them into the locker room. And obviously I would have gone in there even if we didn't have the chain. But, that scene was cool. Like he's just getting obliterated by even more water. They do the
No
whole,
champagne, no
yeah, I mean,
alcohol or
maybe if it was the playoffs or something, or
yeah.
but there's this cool photo of Don holding up 71 written in Sharpie with the guys and then with himself, and
Yeah.
I think one of the cool things that the Cavs do. It's like one of these photos in particular, I know we put on T-shirts and hoodies, and it's like always cool to see like my work. Like a lot of it, I feel like is digital nowadays, just with like the landscape of the way that people consume media. But like, like my parents have like that photo on a hoodie.
Yeah.
So
The one where Donovan's holding the 71.
Yeah, it's like this team photo with everybody around him, and we made it like a collection and sold it in the team shop. And,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. So you get to see your work all over the city.
Yeah.
People are, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah. Even nowadays, like we've been doing like a campaign to drive ticket sales. Like I'll just like randomly see my photos. Like there's a billboard if you're driving over the overpass headed towards Ohio City. Like there's one on top of a building when I'm driving home, because like I live in Painesville.
Yeah.
There's like one on 2 East that's like over by Bratnall. There's like just like a photo of Donovan that I've taken that just has like a ticket link.
And then there's the mega banner, the Sherwin-Williams banner, right?
Yeah.
You can't miss it. It's humongous. Right across from the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse.
Yeah, that's probably, of all the things that I've done, like I've done a lot of really cool things here with the Cavs. That's seeing that my work being physically printed. Like those are my photos, and to see that banner, have like so much meaning, or that location have so much meaning to like our organization's history, and to have my work be a part of it is like, I'll be honest, like I feel like the way I come into Cleveland, like I don't see it that often. I'm just like in the arena, like, but whenever I go outside or like I drive by and I see it, it's just like this immense source of pride. Like,
well, now that I know that that's your work, I can tell my friends that's my buddy Jimmy's work on that.
absolutely, gas me up.
Yeah,
name cred.
Yeah, for sure. And then, I mean, dude, I'm a new father too.
Yeah.
I've got a young daughter at home. I know you've got a young daughter at home, and your family means the world to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It must mean so much, and I don't know, man. Like, I just can't imagine the feeling when you and your wife are driving past that big banner, and your wife's like, "That's Daddy's work."
Absolutely. The day that it went up, like I had them come downtown, and my daughter, she's grown up going to Cavs games, right? Like she'll be 4 in October, and she's like this like brave little girl that gets super shy. Like sometimes I'll FaceTime them like right before the game. It's like our little pregame routine to say goodnight, like if they don't come.
Yeah.
And so like the players in the tunnel have like, they obviously like see photos of her on my social media, or just like some of them are fathers too. So like we talk about fatherhood, and like it's tough, right? Like I'm gone constantly. I work a lot, and it's like this demanding part of the job that I do to, take care of them.
That's right, because you travel with the team everywhere they go.
Yeah, a lot of the time. Yeah, I think I miss like, a handful of games every year, but a lot of the time I'm with them.
Do you get to fly on their like private jets, or do they fly private jets? Or
yeah, it's like a chartered jet. It's like part of. I think all NBA teams do it, and it's I don't. My wife and I don't travel a ton. Like we're so busy, with my job, and then like I feel like everything we have is kind of here in Cleveland or here in Ohio for us. So like it's like with this like weird thing where I fly chartered more than I do commercial.
Wow.
So but it's
pretty badass.
it's one of the more interesting parts of the job. Something I'm obviously super thankful for. Like,
what's the separation of like professionals and like, are you a fly on the wall, or are you there interacting with the players? What?
Yeah, I mean, it's like give and take, right? Like, I don't want to do anything in the moment. It's like I'd rather take the photo than have the moment where I'm talking to them, right? So like, where there's time to do both. Like I was talking about FaceTiming my daughter. Like sometimes in the tunnel before everybody comes out, like Jared Allen is always the first one out of the tunnel before the game, and he's one of my better friends on the team. So like I'll FaceTime Emily and CJ to say goodnight, and CJ has like she's shy, right? Like she's a COVID baby, born in October of 2020. Like doesn't really like she's shy. She's COVID babies. I feel like from her babies from that time, I feel like are just have this extra shyness because of the sheltered environments that they had to spend their first couple years of life in, right? But like she'll get so excited to say hi to him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Even the other night, like I FaceTimed them and he's like, "Oh, is that who I think it is?" And she'll wave and say hi.
So you get to interact with the players to some degree.
Yeah.
And are there ever any players that are like, "Hey, buddy, don't bother me," or you look like the type of guy that keeps to yourself and less spoken to?
Yeah, I mean, they're there to work, right? Like,
Sure.
It's their job as much as like it's like this. It's a cool job, right? It's demanding. I know they spend more time at our practice facility, than they do at their house. Some weeks, whether it be practice or them getting extra work in, or
Is that an Independence?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, when I see them, I'm there to work. I'm there to. I don't, like I said before, I don't want to do anything that's gonna like, I don't want to
Jeopardize your.
I don't want to make JB mad and be like, hey, like, what are we doing? We're practicing, like, social hours over, like,
Right.
But I'd say it's like probably 85% of the time I'm just there to work, and then like the other 15 is like, getting to know them in the moments in between, right? Like, I feel like the Cavs and our digital team, who is supremely talented, by the way. I think we have the best digital team in the NBA. Like as far as like our social managers, our video producers that work alongside me. Like we do the best, and I think part of that is like the player experience, right? So like I want to provide them the best photos of their career that they can have. Like our video producers, Courtney and Nikki. And our in arena field house creative team, like we want to give the players the best, like it's like their career, right? I want them to look back on their time with us and like be able to pull up a photo or have prints hung up somewhere of like my work or like footage of them doing incredible things. So like that is part of getting to know them, is like providing this like incredible, like that's kind of what influences how I try to think creatively, or like make good work. Is like part of it is like, yeah, the Cavs need to post it and like we need to document this as part of our team's history, but like the players like deserve like this like wonderful consistent great photography, great videography.
Yeah.
So
That sounds like the meat of the the most meaningful part of your work is.
no, absolutely. Like
In so many ways, you're creating legacy.
yeah I think there was even at one point a couple years ago we traded for Karis LeVert around the trade deadline, and one of my first things I do when we acquire somebody new or draft somebody new is like we have this internal CMS content management system that it's like an app to where I can upload their photos from games into a folder via like it's like a website. It's like a so I don't have to have all their numbers. Like they don't have to hit me up being like, hey, like
They just draw from the CMS.
yeah. It's like a foolproof way to they know the expectation of when I'm gonna drop stuff in. But Karis had seen our stuff. Had checked out our social pages. The first time we met was like he had mentioned like he had loved our like seeing our stuff on social, and asked if like I was like one of the photographers behind that kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, dude, like I'm from Ohio, like he's from Columbus, and so it was just a cool moment to see that like what we had been doing had been paying off, and so we were able to get him set up on the CMS that same day. And yeah, like I like hearing that from guys. Like they have this thought that when they come to Cleveland, like they're gonna get
They're probably the same way we think of Arkansas.
yeah they're gonna get this like wonderful like concerted effort towards like getting them the best photo, the best video that we can provide for them. Mm-hmm. So that was cool in the moment.
That's awesome, man. Do you Do you mentor anyone? Like, does anyone work under you where you sort of guide them? Or
We have a social media producer who I've been mentoring this year. Her name's Brenna Lewis. She's kind of growing in photography. She's super talented, just super eager to learn, and she's on staff here full time with us, helping running our social pages. And then she shoots a lot of our like organizational events and games and practices too. But no, like I'd say like that's like the only like person I mentor. Like I'm always down and willing to, like answer Instagram DMs or like provide advice on how I got here. Just because I was that same person, 8 years ago, trying to understand an industry that I wasn't a part of yet, and wanting to be like, my peers or people that I looked up to in the industry. So it's like giving back to what I was like given help with, right?
And who are some of the people you look up to, or who was your mentor going into all of this?
Yeah, so when I entered, it was Ohio State football was like the major rage for creative content. So at the time, it was and still is obviously. His name was Zach Swartz. He coincidentally is from Ohio, moved to Arkansas, worked for Arkansas, but then moved back to work with Ohio State football. So he was just like a creative that I looked up to a ton. But then when I got to the Cavs, he's larger than life. He's my I'd consider him my mentor now. He's 6'7", was like an All-American basketball player at Cleveland State. His name's Dave Kyle, and I sit next to him a ton at our games, just way the floor seats work. But he's been super helpful. Just like how to approach shooting, like etiquette or like anticipation, or but yeah, no, I'd say Dave Kyle has been like a super huge mentor for me. He's been photographing Cavs games for 35 years, and is still one of the best photographers in the NBA.
Yeah. Outside of your professional relationship with him, within the Cavs organization, are you guys like friends outside? Do you hang out?
Yeah, I mean, so he's like, I don't want to assume his age, but he's, like I see him I see him, 4 times a week. He's just like at Cavs games, but like, he did when we found out that we were having my daughter, my wife and I, like, I told him, and he didn't have to do anything for me, but he ended up like giving me a card and just like telling me like how happy for me he was, and like I respect the hell out of him. Like he's just so resourceful, so kind to me and to like others that are like willing to learn, and it doesn't have to be like that, right? Like I'm sure people in photography could see it as like a you're on my lawn kind of thing, or get off my lawn.
Yeah, but he's not that way.
Dave is great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So Dave Kyle is your mentor, and what's his title exactly?
He's just like I don't know how the NBA would specifically put it, but he is like the in-arena photographer for the NBA that shoots the Cleveland Cavaliers. So there's like, I don't know.
So he's an NBA photographer.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that like your dream gig? Is that something you'd aspire to do, or what is?
No, I mean, I always tell people, as long as it makes sense, family-wise, outlook-wise, like growth-wise, like I'm pretty happy. Like I love, the long hours are hard and the travel is hard, but like, my wife constantly reminds me, like, and I remind myself, like, how much I truly do love working here for the Cavs. Like, being an employee of Cavaliers Holdings LLC, like being a part of the family of companies. I like it. I truly feel like I have it made where I'm at currently.
Amazing. So that role that you have with the Cavs, it sounds like that's something you plan to do for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Like, I mean, like, I'm sure there's probably like, in a sense, like, if it ever came down to feeling like I was missing too much of, my daughter's childhood, or like kind of like a sports retirement, right? Like if I feel
Right.
like if I've accomplished everything there that I can, like I mean, but who's to say? Like I love what I do every single day. Like so.
Well, you told me recently that you actually went to Paris with the Cavs.
Yeah.
Were you able to bring the family along?
No. We thought about it. We looked, and man, like flight prices are so expensive, and like I make enough money to support my family. Like that's, but I don't make enough money to
Fly them to Paris.
Right. Like maybe if CJ was born 2 years later and she still fit under that, oh, you can sit on your mom's lap threshold. Right. But like,
right.
Jesus, like looking back on it, like Paris was so fun. Being able to play, go overseas and play professional basketball, like an NBA game in front of, our international audience, like because the Cavs have like a large, at least it seems like on social, we have a large French following, or there are a lot of Cavs fans in France.
Really?
Yeah, they're very passionate. I will say that.
But in French.
But in French. I just work so much. Like I had so much to do. There were so many events, practices.
So when you were over there, what did a typical day look like?
Yes, I mean, so like we got there, we played the Spurs on Sunday the 7th, and then flew overnight and landed in Paris the morning of the 8th. That day was kind of just like a get acclimated, kind of explore, and that was, from Tuesday to we played Thursday and left Friday morning. That was basically about the only free time I had. Tuesday was. My first event was at like 8:30, and then my last event lasted until midnight.
Oh, geez.
Just like players had like community events, and the Cavs itself had like community initiatives. Whether it be like court refurbishments or like we donated specific like sports-based wheelchairs to like a Special Olympics group in Paris. There was more to cover than just the players, right? Like, when are we going to go play a basketball game in Paris again? So like, Emily and CJ could have come.
Yeah.
They would have spent a lot of time exploring by themselves and wondering where I was at. And
it sounds like it was all business.
Yeah, it was a lot of business.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm sure others probably had more free time, but like just with the nature of what our digital team does and had to do, like.
Yeah. How about any of the sites? Were you able to check out the Louvre or the?
Yeah. So like, I think by Wednesday, this was like our third day in. I had gotten so. We had practice from like 1 to 3, and I was just like, all right, I got to do something. I'm not about to just go back to my room and work until 8 o'clock and then go downstairs and get dinner and then repeat the same the next day. So I actually I Ubered back from practice. They had buses for us and provided transportation and whatnot. But I was just like, all right, I can't do this. I had my coworkers take my stuff, and I'm like, I need to go grab my little personal camera that's at the hotel, and then I need to go to the Louvre. So I literally bought Louvre tickets in the Uber, had the guy wait outside for me, ran upstairs and grabbed.
Did they have Uber in France?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, because I was just in Spain, and they don't have Uber.
Yeah, they have Uber. They have Uber, and then there's like a popular non-American rideshare service they have. But yeah, it was super simple. Like, yeah.
Do they still have taxis a lot?
Yeah, they have taxis.
A lot of taxis?
Yeah,
okay.
But Uber, like, as far as like expensing stuff, I just was able to hop in an Uber in 5 minutes and get where I needed to go, and it was fine. So
right.
Yeah, I went to the Louvre, and just, I was there from probably like 3:30 till when they closed at like 6. And
oh my gosh,
just turned my brain off, walked around. Like I had been to Paris before for a couple days in college, but I was young and not mature enough to understand the gravity and the luxury of being in France, being overseas, and even being in the Louvre. So like, my favorite thing about the Louvre, like, obviously the Mona Lisa is just this tourist attraction.
Yeah.
It's the most famous painting in the world for a reason, right? Like, but you go into the room that the Mona Lisa is in, and it's like, this like 8x10 painting, right? It's worth more money than, I'm sure, 90% of the countries combined, right? Like, but then you turn around, and on the back wall of this room is, I forget what the painting's called, and I should know. This painting literally spans the entire other wall of the building, like the room that the two paintings are housed in. Like,
Wow.
This painting had to be like 20 by 20 feet.
Wow.
Like it was just massive, and I think it was like this cool juxtaposition of like everybody comes to the Louvre to admire the Mona Lisa, or like if you're going there to be a tourist and you see, oh, there's the Mona Lisa, I gotta go take a photo of the Mona Lisa, selfie with the Mona Lisa, but then like you turn around and there's just like this giant, like this thing had to have taken 10 years to paint, like.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible, man. Jimmy, you're there on the floor when the Cavs are doing all kinds of they're having amazing games, and during these momentous occasions when they're scoring like crazy, or they have they're making these plays that a lot of us don't know about unless we're either at the game or we catch it in the media. You were there when Max Strus scored that ridiculously long 3-point shot. What was that like? What was the energy on the court?
Yeah, I mean, let me move this forward a little bit and cut this out. It was nuts, right? So before this even happens, before this play even happens, it's the end of the third quarter. Generally, like, sometimes where I sit, like the guy, if the opponent chooses by the fourth quarter, the guys will be going away from us. Like when they're on offense, I like to be with them coming towards me. And on this night, it just happened the second half they weren't. They were going the other direction. There's a photographer from AP who has a seat on the other side of the floor right underneath the basket, similar to the one that I sit at, just, cross court. They had come and sat down in an open seat next to me, and, I kind of was like, as the third quarter was about to end, I was like, hey, like, are you going to go back down there for the fourth? Like, would you mind if I sat in your seat if you're not? And they're like, oh, no, I just came down to get, it's the Mavericks. It's Luka. Luka's got, like, such a tie to Cleveland being Slovenian and Cleveland having this massive Slovenian population. She's like, no, I just came down to get Luka. I'm going to go back to the other end for the fourth. And I was like, okay, cool. So fourth quarter happens, like we're trading threes and buckets, and it comes down to the wire, and we were up and had a chance to close the game out, and then Dallas scores, right? Like they get a tough bucket. It's just the way the NBA works. The way endgame situations work for me is I generally only have two lenses on both of my cameras. One is like a wide lens to capture reactions, like immediately post game, and the other is like it's called a nifty 50. It's like a 50 millimeter. It's like a portrait lens, right? Just so happened that's after we didn't have any timeouts. So after Dallas scored, I had what I had, right? So just kind of being locked into the moment and realizing, okay, whatever happens.
At this point, they're up 2 points?
At this point, I think we were down, right? So, like, we had to score to win. I think they might have been. I'd have to look. I couldn't remember off the top of my head, but we had to score. We had no timeouts. We didn't even have Donovan in the game. Donovan was, subbed out he would come back in to play offense had we had a timeout. So Max, gets the ball back from Evan as they inbound the ball. He just hoists up this long, it's right in front of me, right? So I'm shooting it as it happens, but I've got an angle. I'm like aligned with Max as the ball's going towards the basket, and in my mind I'm like, this looks good. Like this, I mean, it's online, and it's just like the wettest jumper, like the cleanest swish ever, And had I switched with the AP person at the end of the third quarter, I won.
You would have missed it.
I wouldn't have got that photo. I wouldn't have been.
Yeah,
I would have been too far away. Right.
I'm looking at it right now, and
it's the perfect angle.
Be able to see it.
It's the perfect angle where I'm aligning myself, where the ball is going. Like you can see how much time is left. You can see Max get the ball off in time, and Luka's right there. Like you can see our players looking back. You can see everybody up.
Wait, is Luka the defender?
Luka is the defender, which makes it all the more. It's like.
That much sweeter.
Right. Like, he had just torched us, had been going off all game, and then just to have this happen, like for them to score and be ahead and then just have us immediately rip their hearts out. Like
that's what makes this photo iconic.
Yeah. And amazing. Then like going to these celebration shots, like, I had the 50 millimeter on one lens and I had the wide angle on the other. So immediately Max does the best thing possible, and he turns and runs right at me. So like as they're tackling him, I immediately get up from my seat, like move into position, and I have this wide angle lens to just immediately start like firing off as many shots as I can, trying to capture this action, like this emotion. And there's some really good ones, like of him getting tackled and then of him like screaming on the floor.
Or the water celebration.
The water celebration immediately after, like I was just in perfect position. It was like this momentous like culmination of like right place, right time, but also like delivering, right? Like that's the loudest after that initial celebration. That's the loudest I've heard Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. Like deafening. But in the moment, I didn't hear a thing. I was just so zoned in on what was happening in front of me that I didn't even hear them celebrating. Like I shot. I heard nothing. It was like it was like slow motion, right? Like
I can imagine all the adrenaline pumping.
Right, exactly. And then when I was able to like come down for a second, you know, because I immediately transmitted the game winner to our social team to get it up. I was able to just like for 5 seconds hear the field house is going absolutely nuts. Like that is the loudest, you know, I've been here for a playoff series now, and for Donovan, like I think it was so much louder because it was just like this jubilation of like, okay, we had our hearts ripped out and then we just ripped yours out. Like Cavs fans are just like so ruthless and so like tied to like the emotions of the game that it was wild.
Dude, I don't mean to flatter you or anything, but just the context from someone who was there on the floor is it's different, you know, with just hearing you describe it, and then also looking at these photos, which again our audience will be able to see.
It's like another thing I wanted to say too, like Max, all of our we don't have any like bad people on our team. They're all like really good guys. Max is one of the best. Like,
really? Okay.
Max is like this, you know, he was undrafted. He had to work his way onto two ways. You know, he got his first guaranteed money with the Miami Heat years ago, and then like him coming to Cleveland is like the first, like, you know, he's created generational wealth for like his family and for himself. And like if you meet his parents, like you can just tell like Max is like this South Side suburb Chicago kid that is just like grateful to be in the NBA, but like works extremely, extremely hard. And to just like see that like happen for him, happen for his folks. Like, you know, I got this photo printed for him a couple days ago, coincidentally, and just like see it hang in his house.
Which one is that?
The initial one you see of him hitting the shot over Luka, this wide one.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, it's hanging in his house now, and just like
the iconic one.
To see it happen, like nobody deserves that shot. Like see that shot go in more than Max.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't follow a whole lot of basketball.
Yeah.
And I'm a fair weather fan at best. So you giving context to who Luka is and why Max Strus's game-winning shot. I mean, it was an incredible shot to begin with. You don't have to follow basketball to appreciate how long of a jumper that was from that distance, and you know the fact that it was a buzzer beater game-winning shot. You know, but the context that you've given to it just adds that much more to the gravity of what that moment was. So I definitely appreciate that. We're running out of time, so we're gonna have to wrap this up.
Yep.
But before we do, we always like to ask our guests, how do you take your bowl of Superior Pho? Well, before that, actually, let's make a couple more minutes. How did you come to find Superior Pho?
So I was thinking about this. I don't know where my first bowl of pho was. I don't think it was here, but I think I probably had it somewhere and really liked it. And then I was like, okay, let's Google best pho in Cleveland or pho near me. And it so happened I walked into Superior Pho, and you know I've been a mainstay ever since, right? Like I think
probably in here once a week, dude.
yeah, right. Like I look at it as more of like a ritual. Like the food is incredible, the pho is incredible, but like, you know, if I need to bring somebody to lunch or like even, you know, CJ gets a little kid's pho with, she doesn't get any meat, but she just gets noodles and broth, and like my wife has come to love pho too. So it's like this fun.
That's how you know you're soulmates, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I grew up in small town, like Central Ohio, and like I'm sure if I like there's not that cultural like experience in Marion, Ohio. Like as much as I love where I'm from, like I wasn't exposed to like different cultures and wasn't able to like learn about things like that for myself. So it's like a learning experience, but then it's just like it's a fun environment. It's like a chill environment. People come here and they are fed, and they leave, and it's like a constant.
We're
like,
definitely not hoity-toity.
Yeah. You come here because like you're gonna get incredible food, and like you're gonna be taken care of, and then you're gonna leave and you're gonna come back again, right? Like it's
Appreciate that. So indulge us.
Right.
How do you get your bowl of pho?
So it depends, right? It depends on if the girls are with me or not. If I have them, generally, so it's always a number 12. Like I'm the give me everything. Let me try something. Let me try a little bit of everything.
Yep.
It's always a number 12.
The pho up yet?
Yep. Just give me the classic, and then if I'm by myself, I'll get like a large, and then I'll get like a 1A, like like the spring rolls with shrimp and whatnot.
The summer rolls.
Summer rolls, yeah. But if they're here, like I'll probably get an extra large. She's like,
for sharing.
Yeah, for sharing. But no, I've generally never strayed from the number 12.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Nice. And when it arrives at your table, do you have a ritual? Is there
Yeah.
anything you do, or just hop on?
I pick off. Is it like mint leaves? Like what's in the
Basils?
Basil.
Yeah.
So I'll put some of that in, but I try the broth first just to see what I'm
man.
dealing with. Right.
That's the way you're supposed to do it.
And then I'm not spraying sriracha in. Like I'll use like after Emily is done like getting her add-ins, like I'll use like the corner of the plate, and like if I want sriracha, I'll dip it on the bottom of the spoon, and then maybe like I'll stick the spoon in the broth and like add a little bit of meat. I'm trying to get better with handling the piping hot noodles and chopsticks, and it's an area I need to grow in. Is like I feel like I can't control like what I'm gonna put on my spoon, but the bite's always good. So
nice, man.
Yeah.
Nice. So actually, we have a surprise for you today. A number 12.
There we go.
And Jimmy, I want to thank you for being on our show, man. This has been great. I don't know, I've learned so much from you today, and thank you for sharing these really special moments from the floor. Man, keep doing what you're doing. You're killing it. We love seeing your photos.
Thank you.
To our audience, definitely check out Jimmy Longo's work. It's all over the city. If you see a big photo of the Cavs, it's likely that it's Jimmy's work. So be on the lookout. And man, until next time.
Yeah, Chris, thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Guys, this has been Sharing a Bowl with Jimmy Longo, presented by Superior Pho. I am your host, Chris Wynn, and we are signing off. Thanks so much.